Starting take two in 3, 2, 1, go! So, Ronnie, I've already educated the fact that if you want a date, if you want a wife, you want a husband, you want a spouse, you want to meet somebody, go on Survivor. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my next plan.
It seems that's when you talk about these shows like The Bachelor or these matchmaking services or shows that have to do with hooking people up, like shows on MTV or shows on any other popular channel that have to do with hooking people up with other people. Seems like just going, these people on Survivor are doing well. They're anytime there's a season going on, somebody happens to meet somebody, and then there you go. They're married. The next thing you know. It's crazy. Well, welcome to Take Two, everybody, right here on the Voices on the Net Network. Ronnie and I have returned for yet another episode of the program, and we have a great one for you. We really, really do. We're glad to be back, and we're going to get into all of the good stuff, all of the stuff you're used to hearing on this show. Ronnie will make it official. We'll get into the opening segment, the associations, the stamp, everything. But before we get into all of that, if all of you tuned in right now would be so kind, would you please, as the great listeners to this great network, would you please visit www.vonthenet.com, the Voices on the Net Network's website, where you, the listeners, will be able to find more information pertaining to the Voices on the Net Network. Yeah. All you need to do is go up to the top of the website where you will see the About link. You click it, where you will reach a web page providing you everything you need to know pertaining to the network in thorough detail. Now you can also check out podcasts of any of the episodes from any of the shows, and they're all available on demand for you at your very own convenience. A great, great website, plenty of content, very user-friendly. Highly recommended you check it out. Make it your homepage, for gosh sake. Seriously, you know you wanna. All right, visit it at www.vonthenet.com. That is www.vonthenet.com. So, Ronnie, hey, how are ya?
I'm glad to be back here.
I know.
That little break just kind of just tears you apart. You're like, ooh, it's mine.
Yeah, no, it's a couple of days. Obviously, we do not do the show on the weekends, so we do get a little bit of a break. We do need a break every now and then, although we probably could do it 7 days, but we need a break. And, it's important to just take some time to recollect your thoughts and relax and take a deep breath. And then you come back, you're ready to go, just like we are here, for yet another episode of the program. And you know exactly what episode that is, right? So you
yes, I do.
You want to check that envelope of yours? You want to open it up and you want to make it official? You want to let us know where we're currently at right now, Ronnie?
We have currently landed on episode 263.
There you go. Ronnie's made it official. Episode number 263, folks, of the show Take Two. So, now that it is official, how was your weekend, Ronnie?
It was great. I had a graduation party to go to.
How was that?
So,
yeah, I heard about that. You had told me that you were gonna go to a graduation party. We were talking the night before. You said, I'm going to go to bed a little earlier than normal because I do have a graduation party to go to the next day. So how was that?
Oh, that was fun. We have two people that graduated from college at the same time, husband and wife, matter of fact.
Ah, very cool.
The wife got her bachelor's degree and the husband got his master's degree. So
very impressive. Very nice to hear that. Very nice.
Yeah.
And you know what, Ronnie? You know what? I know somebody, this pretty gal that is literally right at the brink of receiving her bachelor's degree. Who could she be? Who is she?
No idea.
I can't quite think of her name. She's this Nebraskan gal. She's a cutie. She hosts a show. She co-hosts a show. Who is she though? Can't come to my mind though. You know what? I know who she is. I believe her name is Ronnie. Yeah, that's right, Ronnie.
Yeah.
You're receiving your bachelor's degree soon.
Yeah.
So you're going to be having a grad party, I'm sure, right? Or are you going to have a grad party, or are you going to just hang out, or is somebody going to hold one for you, or you probably don't know, or what?
I have no idea what's going on. I just know it's going to happen in June, and then that's it.
Yeah. Well, you know what the important thing is that you get that degree. You're going to the commencement ceremony, or are you gonna get it? The thing is, you're gonna go to Arizona or no?
Gas is like way too high. We're over $4 a gallon here, so I guess I'm going to get it locally here with the college.
All right. Well, either or, you get it. It's important. See, I look at it as, for me, for my associates, well, seeing that I'm going to get my bachelor's, I might as well get my bachelor's degree in Arizona. That's, obviously not to say the associate's not important. It's just rather than seeing that gas is, of course, expensive, and to fly is not cheap either. I figure you get the associates locally, and then you go to the local campus, and then you go for your bachelor's degree. You go to the commencement ceremony, which really is gorgeous, beautiful ceremony. They really do an excellent job. For those of you listening that don't know what school Ronnie and I attend, we go to University of Phoenix, and if you look on YouTube, there's plenty of videos from people that record, families that record their kids or their family members that are graduating, and you notice how it's literally top tier right there. I've never seen a commencement ceremony as beautiful as the way University of Phoenix does it. Probably because they make quite a few bucks, make quite a bit of money, but they do a brilliant job. They really do.
Oh, they do. Even your local ones do the same thing. It doesn't matter where you're at.
Right.
It's just a big deal.
It's just a bigger place, a bigger location. When you go to Arizona, you go to University of Phoenix to get your bachelor's degree in Arizona. But it's just, that's actually a part of the itinerary for this 263rd episode of the show. We've talked about this before. Is college really worth it? There's an interesting Pew Research report from some Americans feeling it isn't worth it, some that feel it is worth it. We're going to go over the grants, the federal loans, just the long-term value of a college education. We will go over that. That's going to be in the second segment of the program. And an online education has to do with that part of the show as well, the itinerary. So you're going to want to stay tuned. That is coming up. But what I want to do is I want to start things off with this, Ronnie. Apparently, if you want to meet somebody, you go on Survivor. You know, these reality TV stars, these people that go on these reality television shows. There are reality TV shows in all kinds of markets, really. Whether it's a dating reality TV show, whether it's surviving on an island, whether it's surviving in a house, whether it's widespread drama, either or. There's all kinds of reality TV shows. It seems, though, that if you want to meet somebody, you go on Survivor, as there have been quite a few marriages that Survivor has produced, and even marriages, even people proposing during the live reunion shows, a la the Redemption Island reunion show. Redemption Island contestant David Murphy proposed to Tocantins contestant Carolina Eastwood, and she said yes, but then again, is she going to say no on camera, though? Looked like that was a little bit of an awkward moment, but still proposed to her.
They really didn't know each other that long, so maybe Survivor is the best way to go about this.
That's exactly my point.
Figure out how to get on there.
That's exactly my point. They couldn't have known each other that long, and he's proposing to her on the air, live in front of millions and millions of people. So it's like, oh, gee, she's not going to say no to him on national television, is she? But there have been quite a few marriages. Obviously, Boston Rob, and I want to wish him a congratulations for winning Survivor Redemption Island. Apparently, fourth time is a charm for him. He won the $1 million prize as well as the $100,000 Sprint Player of the Year award too. His wife, Amber, played Survivor 2, won the $1 million prize, actually sat right beside Rob. They met during their respective season, and they got married and had a kid. Or kids. I think they have one baby or a couple kids.
Two babies.
Two babies.
Two little girls.
And, so they are married, and then there have been other relationships that have flourished from Survivor. You notice the Survivor couples on the island, they hook up. So it's like, what's up with this? Survivor's supposed to be a game here where you're gunning for the $1 million prize, trying to utilize strategy to get to the end. Well, maybe utilizing that type of a strategy, a la meeting somebody on the island, you have somebody to sleep with, you're there 24/7 for quite a few weeks, so you might as well have somebody there to cuddle with while you're there. You can find somebody. There's plenty of good-looking people going that apply to for the show and then are placed on the show. So I guess apparently that's a part of
Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah.
But I was shocked that he actually went out there. He just jumped off that stage. And when she said, shut the flipping door, I was like, oh, she's going to say no.
Well, it was just, and this was actually being talked about on Twitter, how awkward of a moment it actually was. It's like, Jeff, you had to assume that this was cued. It was live television after all, but you had to have known that Jeff and David had to have talked about this before the show even started, that it had to have been cued. It's like David didn't even know what was going on, while Jeff was trying to bait the guy, trying to see, what are you going to do? Come on now. Are you going to go propose to her? You know you want to. It's like, what's going on here? And then finally he did, and then when he proposed to her, it was still an awkward moment. Everything about it was awkward. I'm happy for the two. I hope it works out. Absolutely. I liked David on Redemption Island. First off, he's got a genius IQ, like myself. I'm just kidding. He does have a genius IQ, but I do have a genius IQ too. But, he's a very intelligent guy. He really is. Just how he speaks, he's a lawyer. So it helps, I guess, to be intelligent if you're a lawyer, right?
Yeah, being the kind of things that he's into, he's going to be a great defense attorney.
Defense attorney, right? That's what he is. Yeah.
Defense attorney.
And wasn't that a lawyer?
Yeah, it's just a lot more money.
Right. So you would know you're in that field.
Yeah, if only I could be a defense attorney.
Would you like to be?
I just couldn't handle somebody lying.
See, that's the thing. That's what you have to do. You have to lie. You have to be willing to lie. If you're a defense attorney, you have to be willing to put pieces of the puzzle in their places too. That's important. When you're a defense attorney, that's important. And that's exactly why David was great for the show. I would like to see him on again. I would love to see David on again. Just when I notice somebody that's intelligent, it's great to see. I respect intelligent people. I respect people that you could tell just by how they speak, the words they use, just how they put sentences together, their stance, everything about them you could tell. And I respect that, and he is definitely one. He scored the highest out of any survivor. You take an IQ test before getting on the show. He scored the highest out of any survivor, and there have been plenty of smart survivors on the show. But David scored the highest out of any, according to Jeff Probst. And you could tell, even if you didn't know he took an IQ test and scored the highest, you would have known he's smart just by how he speaks. Just how he played the game. You could tell how he talked with other contestants, yeah.
No, I didn't realize an IQ test was qualification of survivor. Is there a limit to it? Is it just
no.
out there?
Oh no, there's no. An IQ test isn't all about the score. They give you a lot of different tests. You have to go on the show. You have to go through the most thorough and meticulous physical in the world. They test every single part of your body before going on the show. Jimmy Johnson, if it weren't for Survivor, he could have had a heart attack. They found something wrong with his heart. So, yeah, you go through quite a bit. And the IQ test is just given because it gives the producers just insight as to how quick-witted in terms of complex reasoning, deductive reasoning, and so forth when it comes to the IQ test, which is what that's about, the intelligence quotient. Just gives them an idea of who's going to be maybe a bit more quicker, maybe a bit smarter than the other people. Just based on that IQ test, it gives them more information, in other words, when it has to do with the cameramen too, who to focus on, whether to. It gives them, for instance, David was clearly the intelligent one. Even if you didn't know he took an IQ test and scored the highest, you knew he was intelligent. They played him out to be the intelligent one. You could tell just how the cameramen, how the producers made his edit out to be. So they used that IQ test as a benefit too.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I realized that. I wanted to know what Phil did because Philip, I think, was the draw-in this time on Survivor.
Reality gold.
I would like to see him back.
The thing is, and people think Phil played a horrible game, but get this, I'm going to tell you something, that he may have not had a chance to win the $1 million. He may have not had the chance to win the $100,000 Sprint Player of the Year award, but he's reality TV gold, and this is what he did here. He knew that the wackier you would be equals reality television gold, that he now has a better chance over pretty much any of the other contestants to be invited back for another season because of how people love to hate Phil. They do.
Yeah.
You love to hate Phil because he is just that unique, he's out there. But you know that based on the reunion that he's a normal guy. He really is. And yes, he is a federal agent. Then again, you and I knew that. But
he looked different with clothes on.
He did look different. But the thing is, these people are on the island for so long, Ronnie, that they don't shave, they don't brush their teeth, they're in the same clothes for weeks and weeks on end. Rain is drenching on them. They're going to look pretty. It's amazing. Some of them look as great as they do on the show, with nothing, no amenities whatsoever.
They do. I mean, at least we know that Phil did get rid of his pink underwear, so those are burned, and we are saved until the next time.
Wasn't that funny, Ronnie, when he did that? He got rid of them. He burned them. All good things must come to an end, as he stated.
Here's Rob. Wash your hands.
Yeah. That's pink underwear.
And the feather. He just kills me.
I respect the guy. I think, you know what? I thought he was fun to watch. I've always enjoyed Phil. While people were, people have to have a sense of humor when you're watching TV. If it weren't for Phil, would you have found the season of Survivor any more entertaining than it would have been if he were on the show, which he were? Of course not. He made the show even more entertaining. So stop your bitching, stop your whining. He made the show fun.
Yeah.
He made you watch more. Obviously, if you're talking about him so much, he must have interested you somewhat. So that's what annoys me about people. That's what annoys me about people. They always have something negative to say, yet they're watching and clearly entertained because he's drawing them in. So he's reality. That's why they call him reality TV gold. That's why they call those kinds of people that act out. They know how to play to the camera. And I'm not saying that he acted in terms of that not actually being him, but he played a different strategy whereas other contestants may have played quite a different strategy as to the strategy he played.
Well, obviously his worked. He came in second.
Oh, yeah, he did. He did. He came in second, right? But he didn't have a chance to win.
I know, but
that's
I was
the problem
hoping
with the game.
So much.
Well, you could have hoped, but that's the thing with Survivor. It's out of your hands. It is. It's in the jury's hands, and that's what makes the game so great. It's that you could get all the way to the end, play the best game, but it's not up to you whether you win the game. It's up to the people that were voted out by you, even.
Yeah.
Blindsided by you. They have mixed emotions. They're still mad, upset about what happened when they got voted out. But then again, that's a part of the game. There's a reason they're sitting there and you're sitting on the jury, but they still don't have to vote for you. And we've seen that with Russell. Of course, he played great 2 times in a row, and he didn't win. But he won the Sprint Player of the Year.
He would come back this year, but I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah, you showed me the show that he's going to be having.
Yeah.
Then again, who knows if it's going to converge with the taping of Survivor? Who knows? But there are 2 people that are going to be coming back for the next season, the 23rd season, Survivor South Pacific. So we'll look forward, of course, to that. But yeah, congratulations to Boston Rob for winning the 22nd season of Survivor, Redemption Island, the $1 million prize, the $100,000 Sprint Player of the Year. 4 times he's been on, so congratulations once again to him. And, of course, David Murphy for proposing to Token Sheen's contestant, Carolina. So, of course, happy for him. Hope it works out for both of them. But we do have to move into the associations, Ronnie. It is time to do that on this 263rd episode of Take Two. So what do you say you start us off with an association? You have one for us over there?
Yes, I do. With Microsoft for the fiscal year of 2010, they saw their business solutions go up over 263% increase in the number of new customers that bought the Microsoft Dynamics. And the reason for that was because it was the 3 users for $1 promotion. Okay. Usually this was cost for the same 3 users that we'd given you for $1 was $6,750 for those 3 users. Instead, 3 users for $1 during that promotion. So their sales went way up in the air.
It's all about utilizing strategy. If you're a business owner or you're in the business field, you're trying to sell things, you have to find ways to draw people in. And sometimes there are going to be months, weeks, or years even where you're going to notice decreases in the profitability. So you have to focus on trying to increase that. And sometimes that means setting deals and so forth on how to bring in the quantity factor and then focusing on the amount of money you're going to make based on that quantity. You want the people to come in. That's what you want. There's a reason why Microsoft is still going strong, why it's still selling loads and loads of its Windows operating system. It's trying to focus on other avenues as well. Clearly, they have quite a bit of competition when it has to do with Apple, but they're still in the running, clearly, Microsoft and Apple, with their OSs, their operating systems. The amount of people that use Microsoft operating systems, the Windows operating system, Windows 7, quite a bit. And I've talked about it too. I've brought it up. The amount of people that purchased Windows 7, of course. So it's pretty amazing to hear the amount of people that do purchase the Windows operating system. So very cool, very good association, Ronnie. I've got one for you. And since you brought this up back on episode number 262, you brought it up where back in 2005, the average compensation for a CEO in America was 262 times the average of the average American worker. That was back in 2005, though. 4 years later, in 2009. The average compensation for the CEO in America, 263 times the average American worker. 260. So it went up one. For the American CEO.
Somebody gave themselves a really good raise.
You know, it's like just this past episode, you brought up that the CEO averages 262 times the average American worker in terms of compensation. Now, in 2009, that was back in 2005. Now, for this 263rd episode of the show, the CEO in 2009 makes 263 times the average compensation of the American worker. So clearly, they're not struggling. CEOs,
no.
They're making quite a bit, even in this recession. Yes. Now get this.
Amazing.
Get this. Here's some numbers for you. 2 years into the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Executive pay, folks, executive pay is still running double the 1990s CEO pay average, quadruple the 1980s average, and 8 times the average executive pay in the mid-20th century. So CEOs, if you're a CEO, you're doing quite well in America. Quite well.
Quite well. That's just an understatement.
Yeah, so shoot for that CEO spot. All right. Do you have another association? How about a funny law? You have one for us? Funny law?
I have two funny laws. Actually, they come from the same state, but different portions of the number adheres to this episode.
All right.
So it's Oregon state law. This is a state law, which is it was done twice, 1993 and 1995 C263. Which is the code for this law. This law states that babies may not be carried on the running board of a car.
So babies
it's classified as a Class B misdemeanor.
Babies may not, what?
Be carried on the running board of a car.
Running board of a car. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. What's the other
I'm
one?
just curious who puts the baby there. And in Adele, Oregon, City Ordinance 1987, C263, states it is illegal to whisper dirty things in your lover's ear during sex.
Well, I don't want to go to Oregon then.
Me neither. I was like, well, I'm screwed.
Keep me out of Oregon. Seriously. First off, whispering and is part of foreplay. Talking to somebody, whispering, being vocal during sex is actually a major part of it. It's not only... You're not only going to enjoy the physical parts, but the verbal parts actually add to the moment. No. I guess not in Oregon, though, huh?
No, not there.
Not there.
No, unless you have a lot of bail money.
Yeah, that's depressing. That's depressing, Ronnie.
That is depressing. And that's 1987. I thought this would be, this is like 1930s, 1940s, when I seen that it was not. That it was 1987. I was floored.
Wow.
Well, there's I would have to have a lot of bail from what I remember.
Right. Well, we could always look forward to the funny laws portion from Ronnie on Take Two during the association's segment. All right, before getting into Ronnie's stamp of reparation, I do want to go into this right here, Reclast, which is an osteoporosis drug. My great aunt who passed away, God rest her soul, of course, passed away. She had osteoporosis. Wasn't on this medication, but people that are on this medication, it seems that... doesn't work too well for many people. It's zoledronic acid, which is the medication Reclast, and the website ehealthme.com. ehealthme.com reported that there were 263 deaths reported as a side effect of Reclast, and it also said that 66.5% of these deaths were in the age group 60 and over. 60 and over. And this was, of course, since 2003, which I believe that's when it came out, I believe. So don't quote me on that. I think it is 2003, though. But 263 deaths reported as a side effect of Reclast. And that's the thing. When you hear on a commercial, and they'll blatantly come out and say it because they have to, that the side effects, you notice there are so many side effects of certain medications, so many of the medications, and they even include death as a possibility. But they say even for some of the other side effects, Ronnie, that if it's something serious, like you could get a heart attack, or you could get you could get jaundice, liver failure, you can get, et cetera, et cetera. This could mean if only one person out of the group received those results, they have to add it to the medical study. They have to add it to the, I forget what you call it, but they have to add it to the list to be stated on the commercial or on the website. They have to, even if it's only one person had a heart attack from a certain medication, a specific medication, they have to add it some. Reclast.
It's amazing though. The side effects they have on there is worse than the condition that you have.
That's where you're so misled, Ronnie, from the commercials, like so many other people. It sounds like there are so many more side effects, negative side effects to the drug, but that's not exactly true, because remember, if one person has one of the side effects that seems nasty from that commercial, from that medication on that commercial, they have to add it. So there are certain side effects that the average or mainstream, the average amount of people, or just people in general, are going to receive, majority over 50%. But not all of them are going to include those side effects. Maybe some dizziness, some nausea, some diarrhea. Yeah, okay. But then you have the more serious ones that they have to add it to the commercial, so it makes it sound more severe than it really is. But still, you don't want to hear of any deaths, but Reclast, 263 deaths reported as a side effect of Reclast, an osteoporosis drug. All right, Ronnie, we have to get into your stamp of reparation, but before we do that, it is time to thank our sponsor. That is right, this portion of the 263rd episode of Take Two is brought to you by Audible.com, and we thank Audible for their support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net network. Now listen up, because Ronnie and I have one heck of a deal for all of you. With over 85,000 titles to choose from, you'll receive one free audiobook as well as a 14-day free trial to browse the immense selection of audiobooks offered at Audible. And the thing is, the audiobook experience is one that you should experience for yourself if you haven't already. If you're an avid reader, even if you're not, more than likely you've picked up a book, or you've picked up a magazine, or you've read an article online. You're reading traditionally. Maybe you'll read to yourself so you can hear yourself read. You retain information when you listen to something. The auditory experience, or I call this auditory retainment, where you are listening to this audiobook, you're listening to a lecturer speak, you're listening to whomever. Your parents talk to you, for gosh sakes. You're listening. You tend to retain information better. Say you're sitting in your classroom. You're reading a textbook, but you find it difficult to understand. Somebody speaks to you, your teacher, your instructor, professor. They explain it the way they're explaining it. You tend to retain it better. Well, that's similar to what Audible.com is all about. Say you just want to relax. Say you want to enjoy the book while laying down with your eyes closed. You can do the same. Similar to when Mommy and Daddy read to you when you were a little boy or a little girl. It's a great experience. You really should try it out. And it's not as these voiceover artists are monotonous. They're not. They add so much to each book. Try it out for yourself. One free audiobook and a 14-day free trial to browse. Audible.com. 85,000 plus audiobooks. What do you have to lose? You don't have to spend a dime. Audibletrial.com/take2. Yep, audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of this great offer. Don't wait any longer. You'll be glad you visited audibletrial.com/take2. As always, we thank Audible for their generous support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net network. All right, Ronnie, it is time to give us your all-important stamp of reparation. So you've got the mic.
Well, this I did not understand or even realize, and soon the listeners will too, that New Zealand and the United States have a lot in common with our school system, other than not one of the top schools in the whole entire world. We happen to, though, we are very celibacy when it comes to, I guess, getting abortions and letting parents know what's going on in their
celibate?
Schools. Yeah, that's what they should be. Celibate, isn't it not? They are sitting here in New Zealand. The numbers are staggering. They do not have to. Remember, your parents have to sign you out of school for you to leave school. Your parents have to sign for your field trips. They have to sign for permission if you go to sports. But they don't have to sign for you to have an abortion. Matter of fact, it's not any other parent's business. Solely the school. The school tells the girls, I'm not sure if they're taking the girls off of campus, but they are sure as heck hiding the fact that these girls are having abortions away from the parents. They don't have to tell them. Legislation was introduced as in the United States 2 years in a row now, thus far, that the schools do not have to report that a girl has had an abortion. And the youngest age thus far in New Zealand, you know the United States is going to be right up there with them,
right,
is 11 years of age. 11. You have to have permission to have a physical to be in sports,
right,
which requires what? Your parents' permission.
Absolutely.
Not this. Does not require that. 11 years old, having an abortion, I think it's a little bit more important to be more considerate of the parents. This is something the parents need to be aware that's going on. If not, it's going to continue to go on and on and on. Sex education. You still have to have a parent's permission to have sex education in school, but not for the abortion part. You don't. Same thing that's occurring in the United States. In New York City, in Arizona, and soon to be Nevada, you do not need any permission from your parents if you go to the school to have the abortion. So the nurse that you has there can educate you on what you need to do and can assist you in that manner. And they do not have the right or even a legal mandate to tell your parents.
I just want to know something, Ronnie. The millions and millions of dollars that are spent on health classes in school. 15, 16, 14 through 16-year-olds are going to learn health. They're going to learn about sex. What could happen if you wear a condom? What happens if you don't? Well, what happens if you don't wear a condom versus wearing a condom? If you become pregnant and so forth. I want to know, with all of the money that is being spent on these health classes, sex ed, the amount of people that are having abortions at such a young age is outrageous. It's mind-boggling, mind-blowing. You wonder why the number continues to increase out there.
I think that if you're talking about the sex education class, they are only showing the kids how to have sex,
right?
Safe sex,
right?
Nothing to do with prevention of it, or what the meaning of it is. Not what the circumstances are going to be if you happen to become pregnant. What an abortion can do to your body. I mean, we got 11-year-old girls, 11,
right,
that hadn't even reached the sex education portion of the school in the curriculum. None of that existed yet. She's 11 years old and pregnant. Do you realize how risky? I mean, that is almost, that's a major surgery when you're talking about 11 years of age, whose reproductive system just barely is there. Not to mention the fact, what even concerns me more, is the fact that these pregnancies are being hid, but we don't know who the fathers are. Are they somebody in their school? Were they raped by somebody? Is it somebody way older than them that they are involved with? These are things that the parents need to understand what's going on, and the school is strapped between the two. They refuse to tell the parents, and the law states that they don't have to do that.
It's just, and if I were a parent that didn't have any idea, any clue whatsoever that my kid had an abortion, I would be irate too, by the way.
Yes.
But some of these numbers here are just outrageous when you talk about it. According to the Sunday Star Times, statistics show that 3,950 New Zealand teens, and Ronnie brought up the 11-year age, which is just mind-blowing in itself, but aged 11 through 19 had induced abortions back in 2009. 3,950 teens in New Zealand alone had induced abortions. Of those, 79 were between the ages of 11 and 14 years old. It just, you're wondering, okay, these shows that are being portrayed on television of teen mothers that are having trouble taking care of their babies, you would think, well, would they have an adverse effect on the teens that are watching these television shows because they're watching, oh, wow, look how difficult that is to do? Or is it affecting them in another way? Is it maybe marketing the effect? Well, maybe let's have a kid. I want to have a kid. I want a baby for myself. It's a very confusing world out there for teens, it seems like, whereas health classes and sex ed classes should be maybe doing their part a bit better. It seems as, well, children, teens, they spend quite a bit of time in school. Well, if this is an issue and the kids are in school, maybe there's some way to target these kids from inside the building, perhaps, because, well, clearly the way you're doing it is not working out at all, really. It isn't. If I notice this, even half of this number, even a quarter of this number is too many. Even 5% of this number, even 1% of this number is too much. Even 0.1% of this number is a lot. Clearly, you have to change the way you're providing these classes to these teens, because, like you've heard what I had to say.
Yeah.
I've said, put the graphic content on a screen and show them what can happen.
Yeah,
seriously,
that's exactly what they need to do. And these are just the numbers. These are only ones that we know about.
Right.
This number could be doubled from what we know, because they're not. These are the ones that are actually being reported,
right,
who are not reporting. This is kind of concerning as well. So those numbers are way off.
Yeah, it's horrible to hear about this. But thank you for your stamp of reparation, as always, for this 263rd episode of Take Two, right here on the Voices on the Net Network. We have to head to the break, Ronnie and I, but we're going to be back for the second segment to give you more content, and we really do have a lot coming up. Is college worth it? Yeah. In the education sense, how about financially? Well, a Pew Research Center report released shows that many Americans feel colleges fail to provide students with good value for the money they spend. 57% of Americans feel that way. However, 75% stated that college is too expensive. What about the good news? Yeah, 86% of Americans feel that college was worth it in this study. The 86% of those Americans happen to be what? College graduates. We're going to talk about that versus the American that may not have the college degree. They just don't want to go to college. They feel it's not worth it. What about the 86% of the college grads that are benefiting from it? Can they change their mind? Well, Ronnie and I are both college students. We're going to talk about this here. We've went into this before, though. We'll reiterate a bit more. We'll talk about some of the grants, the federal loans, etc., how they play a part in our lives, the long-term effects of what we have to pay off in terms of debt. But what about the education aspect, forgetting about the financials? We'll talk about that, too. Also, job interviews via Skype. Have you interviewed for a job yet on Skype? Maybe not, but it could be coming soon to a computer near you, because many people that are interviewing for potential jobs are they're not going to the building. They're not going to wherever they have to work. They're going to be potentially working. They're simply staying in the comfort of their own room, their home. They're interviewing online. Yeah. How do you prep for something like this? How? You're used to talking to somebody eye to eye. You thought that was the professional way? Hey, move on over. The internet's coming through. Wait, it already has. Yeah, the internet is a big part of our lives. Well, why don't you save some money and conduct the interviews via Skype? And that's what they're doing, many of these businesses. We're going to talk about that as well as your blast from the past. So much coming up. You know you don't want to go anywhere. You know you don't. Stay where you are. Ronnie and I return right after the break. Alrighty, folks, and we're back. That is right. Ronnie and I are back for this 263rd episode of Take Two, right here on the Voices on the Net Network. The second segment. Yep, the second segment of the program, which usually includes a couple of really great items, a couple of great topics that Ronnie and I delve into. We discuss, sometimes debate, sometimes quite heated as well, so you never know when one of them will come up, but we have a good time nonetheless, all for you, the greatest listeners in the world. And I do want to bring this up before plugging the network's website, and of course before getting into the great items we're going to be delving into, that the numbers consistently increase. I'm noticing some immense increases in the numbers for the website when it comes to the unique visitors, the sessions, the page views, the hits. So keep it up, guys and gals. Keep it up. Thank you so much. I appreciate it immensely. Those of you that are making the Voices on the Net Network's website your homepage, and just consistently and constantly visit the website. There are always updates, podcasts, news, everything, videos. Check it out. Seriously, you'll be glad you did. I'll plug the network right now before getting into the items on this itinerary for the second segment of the program. So if you would please, as the great listeners of the network, please visit www.vonthenet.com. That is vonthenet.com. Where you will be able to find more information pertaining to the Voices on the Net Network. All you need to do is trolley up to the top of the website where you will see an About link. You click that About link. It will take you to a web page that will provide you everything you need to know pertaining to the network in thorough detail. Yeah, you can also check out, and probably the greatest features on the website, if I say so myself, Ronnie too. Yeah, visit the podcasts. Yeah, the podcasts of any of the episodes from any of the shows. And they're all available on demand for and at your very own convenience. And you can check all of these brilliant features out by going to www.vonthenet.com, www.vonthenet.com. All right, so Ronnie, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hope you had a great break.
Yes, I did.
You did? You needed to get some air? Is that studio heating up over there or what?
Yes, I had to go out and sit in the hallway so I could get some air conditioning going.
Yeah, I hear you there. It actually has been quite comfortable here in the studios in New Jersey because, well, I had the air literally on 60 high for 3 hours before the show even started. So I cooled it down a lot.
See, I could sleep in that weather. I like to sleep when it's really cold.
See, that's me. That's what I like, too. I would rather sleep with the covers over me in a cold environment than sleep over the covers in a hot environment.
That's
I feel
me.
that I could always warm myself up in a cold environment. However, in a hot environment, you can only sleep above the covers. That's pretty much it. You can douse yourself with freezing cold water. That's not as comfortable as getting under the covers or 2, 3, or 6 in a very cold environment and really relaxing. So I'd rather have it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a cold person. Even though I like hot weather, I still like to sleep in cold.
I love the summer. Don't get me wrong. Don't wrongfully misunderstand that. But I love the fall. That's my favorite my favorite season of all. My favorite weather in the fall. But I do love the summer. I do like cold air, though. I do like cold air, especially in the summertime, especially when it's really hot. You just when you're about to go to sleep or take a nap, you get under the covers. When it's hot out there, you have the air conditioner going, and it's nice and cool in your room or wherever you are, your living room, your house, and you get under the covers and it's relaxing. I like that. So
Yeah.
really nice. But we have quite a bit to go into during this second segment, don't we, Ronnie? We really
Yes,
have
we do.
a lot. We are going to start things off with an item on the itinerary here that has to do with college education. Now, Ronnie is a college student. I'm a college student. I love the well, maybe not so much the overload, because sometimes it feels like it's too much. But then again, I look at it this way. The overload that I'm receiving in college is only going to prepare me for the future. Even though I am 24 years old as I speak now, it's only going to further improve what I can handle in the future, which is a lot. I think I can handle quite a bit. But it is a lot of work. But so much more than that, I enjoy being a college student, as does Ronnie. And it's been one of the greatest decisions I've ever had to make in my life. And I think Ronnie would agree with that for her, too. Was going to college one of the greatest decisions you've ever had to make?
Yeah, because I had to weigh a lot of things, whether or not would I have time for it? Would I have time to study? Would I have time? Would I even be able to pay for it? Anything. And then once I figured out that, there is some drawbacks to it, but yet there was other things that I had control over, I was able to make the decision to go.
Now, even before you even started college, you had to clearly get grants, loans to help pay for college. You weren't going to pay out of pocket because it's expensive. You'd be paying tens of thousands of dollars, which is a lot of money for a college education. It's a lot of money for just about anything, whether it's an education, a car, a house, whatever, a bunch of technology, technological equipment, items, etc., products, whatever, services. You're going to be paying quite a bit of money, so you do need some help. You don't think, in other words, because many Americans, many people in general, even before this study I'm about to bring up here, research from the Pew Research Center was conducted, did come in. We're going to go over that, but you don't think it was a waste of money, your college education? You think you've benefited quite a bit from the education that you received in so many more ways than just one, and that being the education sense. Maybe people you may have met from class, maybe some of the interactions you had with your instructor, maybe some of the things you learned other than simple math or simply learning math or history or whatever classes you took in law or whatever. Maybe you learned how to better manage your time thanks to college. Yeah. Maybe you learned how to, thanks to the online environment, post in a forum. Maybe you didn't know how to post in a forum before that. Just some of the side attentive deals that you will retain or learn from the benefits of college, just an education.
Yeah, absolutely. Such as teamwork. You have to, when you're getting your bachelor's degree, it involves teamwork. So you're working with people that you've never met before in the online environment. that you're working with and hope and your grades are kind of, against each other on that. So you have to learn to work with them and to see how their time management is compared to your time management is. But then you have to be a leader, especially when you get assigned leader. It kind of opens the door to a whole new ball game out there. But you learn different strategies on how to cope with different types of people out there. So when you go in the workforce, you have that knowledge already.
Right. Well, the surmise of one's education may be beneficial because people feel that they have learned a lot, they have learned enough, or they have learned what they needed to learn to further their careers in their life. However, there are also people that feel that they could have simply taken those 4 years they spent in college along with the money and still got maybe gotten the job that they had gotten after college, or maybe the lack of. Maybe they feel that the college education is not beneficial to them because they don't have a job. But is that the college's fault, or is it just because you're not looking hard enough, or what? That's why you think about the other aspects of a college education. Forget about the job aspect of it. Forget about that. How about the learning aspect? How about what it has taught you just as a human being, as a person? Ronnie brought up the teamwork. Would you have learned the teamwork methods and the teamwork aspect if you did not receive that college education? Would you have learned the time management tips and so forth if it weren't for that college education? We're not talking about the job aspect here. We're talking about another aspect. We're talking about what else, some of the things you just simply learn because of just along the way. Surely it teaches you other things while you're in college. You learn, remember, there are other students that are talking, and the benefits of an online education, in my opinion, is when your teacher posts your discussion questions, what you're going to be focusing on during each day, and you have 20 or 30 students each providing their answers to the question, and then you have students answering the students' posts to those questions. It really spurs some great discussions. You learn so much more from that. I just want to add that because there's the stereotypical factor, and I think that really has lessened quite a bit over the last few years because people are understanding just how much more beneficial an online education can be versus a traditional one. How transparent it really is if you think about it. It really is brilliant. It's more of the discussion part of the education versus simply taking tests or so forth. There's more of the discussion going on because you have the benefits of a forum environment. Now, when we talk about the financials or the education sense, is college really worth it? An interesting research report was released or conducted and then released where there were a bunch of adults surveyed and they were asked whether or not college is worth it. Now, out of 2,142 adults surveyed, 57%, Ronnie, said that higher education, or the higher education system, in other words, in the United States of America fails to provide students with good value for the money that they spend as well as their families. And an even larger group, 75%, said college is too expensive for the Americans to afford. Maybe there is some proof to that last one, that second one right there. However, 86%, even though the price tag might be quite high, 86% reported that college was a good investment for them personally. But the 86% happen to be college graduates. Clearly, they know because they graduated and are benefiting from the education that they received. So there are two sides to the spectrum here. Those that graduated and are benefiting from their education, those that may not even have a degree because they either left early or they didn't even decide to go because they feel or they've heard from other people that it is not worth it. So they decided to simply say it's not worth it. It's too much money.
Because there's two types of students when you go into college. Those are the ones that actually are there for a reason, that is to graduate. You're learning whatever profession is that you're going into, versus the other ones who like to hold on to other people's, curtails.
Right.
They don't want to do the work. They just skim through. that sort of thing. So yeah, they're not going to get anything out of it. They're not doing anything. It's not, a party hardy atmosphere. It is maybe at a brick and mortar for a period of time, depending on, I guess, maybe on your age and what you want out of it. I think that is the biggest thing, is that I have seen students that come into classes knowing full well that they are not going to get a job within the profession of the college classes that they are taking, such as with law or law enforcement. You see students that come in there that, have a background of criminal history. That clearly is going to prevent them from being in that field. But yet, the colleges go ahead and allow them to take those classes. I think that's one thing that probably needs to change on that issue, is that maybe the colleges need to take a little bit more time to determine whether or not, at the end of the day, when you take that diploma down that road, because it reflects on the school big time, because everyone has a word of mouth that if you don't have that ability, or maybe the student doesn't have the credentials that they're going to have when they graduate, that they're not going to be able to meet the guidelines to get that particular profession, that they should be discouraged. Or they go in with what's important, or what they see in the newspaper. This is the most jobs. You'll hear about how the nursing industry is hiring tons of people, and then the nurses graduate, there's no jobs. So right. I think the biggest thing is what is in the student's mindset when they enter campus, is to determine whether or not they're going to be successful at the end of the campus days.
Right. And if you go to pewsocialtrends.org, that's PEW, socialtrends.org, you'll be able to find out there's an entire article going into whether or not college is worth it. The report basing the findings from a pair of Pew Research Center surveys conducted by, of course, the researchers and so forth. One of them, the telephone survey among a nationally representative sample of 2,142 adults aged 18 and older. And then the other one was an online survey done in association with the Chronicle of Higher Education among the presidents of 1,055 two-year and four-year private, public, and for-profit colleges and universities. And the summary of the key findings, as I mentioned before, I'll mention it again here, that the majority of the Americans, 57%, out of the survey here, say that higher education is not a good value for the money that they and their families spend. An even larger majority, based on the survey findings, 75% say college is too expensive for most Americans to afford. But at the same time, an overwhelming majority of college grads, 86%, more than the last two, say that college has been a good investment for them personally. Why not ask somebody that's graduated college, somebody that actually did the work and is benefiting from the college education, versus somebody that is simply just stating their opinion because they feel they have one. The monetary payoff is actually quite large, if you think about it. Larger than if you wouldn't receive a college education in the long run. Notice I say long run and not short term. Yeah, you may not make what you hope to make your first year out of college. You may not make what you hope to make your second year out of college because you're still paying off debts. But give it about 4 years and tell me where you are then. It states here that adults who graduated from a 4-year college believe that, on average, they are earning more than $20,000 a year as a result of having gotten that degree. $20,000 times 8 or times 4 is what? $80,000. That's $80,000, probably more than what your college education cost, probably double that. So you have $40,000 profit there for you, thanks to that college education. Without that, forget about the $80,000 after 4 years. You're going to be looking for a job that's probably going to want you to have a college education before you even enter the door. So you're going to be searching for the job. And if you do find a job, more than likely it's going to pay you probably pennies to what you would be receiving after that college education. So do you still think that a college education isn't worth it? Think about it. Think about it for a minute, folks, and then get back to me about it. Because, in my opinion, and I'm a sophomore in college, it's benefiting me in more ways. Yeah, I may have debts to pay. I have debts to pay even regardless of college. I have debts to pay. The fact is that I've learned so much more. I've learned so much more in college: reasoning, reflection, Ronnie, tolerance. I've learned communication better communication skills. Just being able to learn now, while my time management skills might be a little flunky, that's my fault totally. I've learned how to manage my time better. I just simply may not put forth what I've learned yet, but I've learned quite a bit. So that would be my fault, not the school's fault, not my teacher's fault, when I did learn literally an entire course on time management. So it's simply me managing to put it forward and doing it. I've learned so much more than just simply math or marketing, or I'm majoring in business. So so much more than just that.
And you learn a lot in reasoning because you're dealing with people from all over the world that go to these classes, online classes,
Right.
that bring a whole different type of perspective and experience. So you're learning from them as well as what you're learning from your instructor. Your instructor that are a professor of these classes, they have a lot of years in whatever profession you're going through. So you're learning from them. You're learning how to communicate with somebody already in your field. So that even gives you a bigger incentive of what's going to happen in the future. Because that college degree, you're way ahead of the game, even though you're starting at the bottom of the totem pole when you get in there. When it comes time for a raise or promotion, you already have the basket set compared to other people that don't have that, and that was probably going to hold them back.
The argument against those that say, yeah, you go into college, you start low, you have 4 years to work to get up to that moment to receive your bachelor's, 2 years for the associates. Yeah, you may be starting at the bottom there, but when you receive that degree, you're going to be starting higher than if you were to start in that job without a degree, where you would probably start at the lower end of the totem pole. You have that degree, you're probably going to start a few rungs higher because of that degree. Now, nearly every parent surveyed out of the conducted research from the Pew Research Center, 94% of them say they expect their child or children to attend college. So 94% right there say that. So they expect it. So you have the parents that expect it, the 86% of the college grads that are benefiting from that college education. And even if you feel that college is not beneficial to you, you ask just about any graduate, any college student, and they'll tell you that one of the great benefits of their college experience is the expansion of their social horizons. I'm telling you. And even at an online school, I have interacted, and what University of Phoenix has done with their infrastructure is brilliant. They really have. They did a brilliant job with making it a more interactive experience, allowing your classmates to directly message you from inside the classroom. I was having a conversation with 4 students in my classroom while I was doing my work yesterday. Also, the Phoenix Connect that allows you to communicate with students, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of students from around the world. Beautiful. It really is. They figured out a way, thanks to, we got to give credit where credit is due to what? Social media on the internet. Thanks to that, allows us to receive a comparable experience to what people receive in a traditional university or a traditional college, or walking around the halls, or walking around the campus, speaking to other people. It's similar to that. Now you can theoretically leave the classroom, just click the link out, obviously, just picture it, of course, and you can interact in a totally different environment, a social media forum-like environment, where you have hundreds of thousands of different topics from students chatting about World of Warcraft, the latest NBA playoff game, who won the Yankee game the other day, the greatest computer product, a model out there, who's the hottest actress out there or actor, so forth, just like you would in a traditional college. So it just goes a lot further. And I'm not only saying...
And cheaper.
That's another thing. With the now, I'm not seeing that both of us, Ronnie. I don't want to only be an advisor to the online education, because if you're going to a traditional college, great, seriously, you're fine. You don't have to necessarily go to, an online institution. You don't. You can simply go to, say, an online college or a traditional college and receive similar or comparable benefits to, say, an online institution. Seriously, I'm telling you, it It's just if you're interested in going to an online college, it's fine. It's fine. And Ronnie brought up a great point that it is cheaper.
A lot cheaper.
Right.
And you're more concentrated in your field. You're still taking the prerequisites. Nothing's going to change on that. You're still taking that.
Right. Absolutely. Now, I just think personally with me, and it goes with saying, Ronnie, because you bring up how a college education online is cheaper, and we bring up how those that are not too happy about the pricing of a college education, that you're going to have a lot of debts. That cheaper price tag may come in handy. May come in handy if you go to an online college too. Now, even there are some traditional universities that are cheaper than others. You're going to spend some money for other ones too. But Ronnie, you have this number that shows $20,000 at least or more that you would make after you receive a degree from 86% of the college grads that did say that they benefited from their college education. So after a few years, you should be able to pay off a majority of the, if not all of the debt, while still profiting some money there, correct?
True, as long as you're not out there trying to pay for a name. If you're paying for a name because you want prestige on that degree,
right,
then I think you're in it for the wrong reasons, because they teach the same exact things. It's just that maybe you're more naive, I think, if you're paying for that high-priced degree. If that's what you want and you could afford it, that's different. The majority of schools now, I remember when I first started University of Phoenix, people were scared to death of these online classes. They weren't even considered a degree to them. It was a no-go. But then after they started seeing the increase of students going online and increased success stories, that the schools that used to state that you cannot go to school here as an undergraduate because you got an online degree are now opening the doors to those students to go to school with an online degree. So it's taken a lot more advancement, and still the fact the price tag is cheaper, you're going to pay it off a lot more faster.
No, absolutely. Now, we'll go into some of these student loans, obviously the grants versus the student loans, and people are wondering, what to do before even going to college, and just some of the things that you and I had to go through before even going to college, knowing where to go, what to do, how to sign up to receive funds, because clearly trying to spend money out of our own pocket is pretty difficult. If you ask me, unless you're rich, which is not a very large percent, you're going to be seeing a lot of students purchasing or using student loans, grants, and so forth. Federal loans, private loans, of course, where you probably have a better chance of getting a federal loan, because private loans, they kind of look at your credit score, I believe.
The private loans have actually been deceived. You can no longer get a private loan for a student loan.
Yeah, and then you have the grants. You're going to probably focus on those first, because you don't have to pay those back. And schools are more than happy, if you're willing to go to college, to give you money to go. Now, more than likely a grant is not going to pay the full amount, because it only gives you a certain amount of money. But they are disbursed as well, where you have some money to eat if you're on campus. You spend it on school supplies or so forth, which is the benefit of a grant. But then you look for loans. And some of them have better interest rates. We talk about the Stafford loans, which is probably the most popular out of them all, I would think, the Stafford loans.
With FAFSA.
Oh, of course. You're going to fill out a FAFSA, and you're going to receive that loan, and the government will simply take care of you while you're a student in school. They'll simply pay what needs to be paid. They'll support you while you're in school. Then after you leave, you pay it off. Now, the good thing about these loans, the Stafford loans specifically, is that you will be able to pay, say, a percentage of it every month. They won't make you pay it all at once. In other words, in my opinion, they're not going to bombard you. They're not.
Right, because you determine with your loans that you get, that they go ahead and go about it. They'll just ask you, would you like to apply for other loans? Not loans, but grants, free money, and always say yes, because when you do that, it reduces the amount of money that you're going to get from the Stafford loan, from FAFSA, but it increases the money you're going to get from the Pell grants and so forth. Also, there's scholarships. University of Phoenix has a lot of scholarships. Even in your community, even if you don't are not in high school looking to go into college, there's still scholarships out there, and businesses, employers will now, not back when I was started, but now will assist with tuition assistance if it's in the field that you're in. If you would plan on staying with that company when you graduate for a specific period of time,
Right.
They also help with your assistance.
That's the thing, and that's why. And I understand. Listen, I understand. If you could pay out of pocket to go to college, I would, you would, we all would, because you save money that way. Even if it's not as much as you think it would be, you still save money because these loans are going to. That's why they make money. They're going to charge interest on them, whether it's 5%, whether it's 8% or 10%. They're going to charge interest. So if you could pay out of pocket, very few can, you would. The fact is, you're not going to be. So are you really going to use that against you when you want to decide to go to college? When you're finding out some of the numbers that are provided to you after you do receive a college education? Seriously, are you going to let that stop you because the money is there? That's what I want. That's what confuses me about people that are. And I always, whenever somebody comes up to me, they're like, "So JJ, you're in college. Can you talk to me about some of these loan situations?" I simply bring up a couple of them, simply Pell Grant or the loans. I don't go into. I mean, there are plenty of others. You talk about what's another. Sallie Mae is another situation that you could focus on. The private student loans. Then you got the federal student loans, and so forth. But really, what I talk about when it comes to, and you're gonna use FAFSA, of course, to focus on this, is really the Stafford loans. You're gonna focus on the Pell Grant, but you're gonna focus on the Stafford loans. And then if you need extra money, there are other options. But more than likely, you would hope the Stafford loans are going to be able to take care of your college education, along with the Pell Grant that you're going to receive.
It's just a lot of work.
Well, it is,
but a lot of paperwork.
But it's just like anything else. You're going to be filling out a lot of paperwork when you get a job. You're going to be filling out a lot of paperwork when no matter what you do, when you're trying to mortgage a house, or whether you're trying to buy a car, or whether you're trying to do this or that, blah 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 blah. You're going to be filling out paperwork. You're going to be getting loans in other avenues anyway. So you won't get a loan to go to college, but you get a loan to get a car.
Yeah.
You're focusing on certain things, prioritizing. I understand you don't want to spend the money, but you're going to tell me that you're not going to take that time to do what you need to do to get that college degree, and then hopefully, now I'm saying hopefully, get a job. But look at the statistics. There are college grads that are telling you, a large percentage, 86%, that are saying, listen, I'm making money, I'm doing well, and then the average of $20,000 or more that people make per year, thanks to that college degree, should be able to take care of that loan or the loans that you have, depending, of course, where you go. Sometimes it may take a little longer for some people, but in retrospect, you think about what you have gotten, really what you have gained from that college education, more than just simply the education factor. And that's the reflection, the communication skills, the people that you've met, the experience, all at once, really. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. And these loans aren't paid back. You don't start paying them back until 6 months after you graduate. Right. Well, after you graduate, but in 6 months. I'm glad you brought that up. So really, you shouldn't have any reason. If you want to go get an education, go get an education. I understand people are some people are worse off than others. If you're literally dirt poor, yet you're a good student, even though there's still money there for you, to go to college. Should that stop you from going to college, even though you don't have a lot of money? That's the question you have to ask yourself. You heard it from Ronnie and I, giving you the stats, the numbers, what we think, because we're college students. I'm not the richest person in the world, yet I'm enjoying the education I'm receiving. And I feel that the loans that I've taken out to go to college are going to be paid off quite quickly after I get my degree, because of the numbers, because of what I've heard. And even if they're not paid off right away, if it takes a little longer, over the last year and a half, what I've gained is, I'm serious, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, me neither. None whatsoever.
No, it's just there, because it's an experience in itself. It's a large part of our lives, your lives. So you gain so much more, while really, in reality, you're losing much less, if you think about it. And I think weighing the pros and the cons, you're going to notice that there are quite a bit more in the pros department than the cons department. I really do. So I wanted to go over that with you, because clearly we are in college. We have went through the FAFSA process. It can be quite painful. It can be a pain in the neck, but remember this. You'll do it for a car. You'll do it when you're going to be buying a house. You'll do it when you'll do it for anything else, but you won't do it for a college education. So think about that. The education, in my opinion, education should never cease to exist. It shouldn't.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right.
I think you learn something new every single day, regardless if you're college or not. So education is a continuing process.
Right. And the experience of the college education, even though you may learn some of this material elsewhere, well, the guarantee is that you are going to be learning that material plus so much more in college, plus anything else you might learn. And then after college, you have that delved in, you have that in your mind, and you're only going to be learning more after you leave college. And anyway, you utilize the tools you have received from college, and you go from there. You go from there. Hopefully make money and pay the loans off, and then you can live your life. And noticing 86% of the college grads that are positive, are happy with their decisions to go to college and are doing well. I like that number. I like hearing that. All right. We have to head into your blast from the past on this 263rd episode of Take Two. We didn't get to the second item on the itinerary, the job interviews via Skype. Yep. The fact is that we'll get into it on the next episode of Take Two. What to prepare for, or how to prepare for a job interview via Skype. I definitely wanted to go and do it on this show, but didn't have the chance, but we will go and do it on the next show. So what do you say we head into the past, Ronnie, our blast from the past? You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, folks, here you go. Enjoy. This is your all-important blast from the past. Things that you buy online, or if you buy at a garage sale or from a friend, you're more than likely going to be purchasing used things, okay? Now, you go to Craigslist or you go to eBay, there's a chance that you're going to be buying new items, new products. However, if you buy used items, used products, it's important that you listen to what Ronnie and I have to say right now, because there are things that you should never buy used. Never buy used. Seriously. Have you ever bought, Ronnie, have you ever bought used items before?
Yes, I have.
And have they all worked up to par, or have there been certain items, products, that have worked kind of crappy, buying them used?
Well, the stuff that I buy used is basically I would buy furniture and redo them. But as far as electronics is concerned, there's a few things that have not turned out to my expectations.
Right.
Of what I would think that they were going to do. So no, I don't do that anymore.
Right. It's interesting that you bring furniture into the picture, because mattresses is a form of furniture, okay?
Yeah.
And actually, that's on this list here. We're going to go over a bunch of different, there's a couple of different lists here. We're going to kind of pinpoint both of them, go into some of the items before heading into the blast from the past. But mattresses is on one of the lists here because of the health hazards that can occur from buying used mattresses. You don't know what whomever slept on that mattress before you purchased it did on that bed. I mean, you can imagine, but you don't know. You could assume, though. But even irregardless of that, you don't know about any bed bugs or any bugs or insects. You don't know what was on that bed. So mattresses, I would never buy a mattress used, ever. I would. No. I've never. And my family's never. I don't trust it. The dust mites that could cause allergies and asthma attacks, and the stains that are all over the mattresses. You could use a blue light, and you can check for yourself. I guarantee any kind of a used mattress you buy, or used furniture in general, you use a blue light, and you're going to find plenty of stains. And gosh knows what they're from. But you typically want to stay away from the mattresses in the used department.
Yeah,
just a tip.
Not a good deal.
No, it's not. Now, what is another item that comes to mind in your mind? If you go over all of the things that you've purchased in the past, I mean, I've bought used books, I've bought used gadgets, I've I bought a used television once. I bought a used digital camera, a used camcorder, and they've worked very well. I've had a very good history with used gadgets and used items. But what comes to mind in your mind pertaining to used items that really you should stay away from?
Oh, well, first of all, don't buy anybody's underwear. Come on. I usually do not buy used shoes, and I'm going to tell you why. Because your feet, everyone's is different. How you walk, how the arch is formed, and so forth. And someone else's feet and the way they're posturing and they're walking is not the same. And the shoes is already that way. So you have the in shoes. Because you don't know, for me, it just, athlete's foot or anything that they would have had, it was in this shoe. I just don't picture myself buying those shoes.
Yeah.
Because I have a problem with used shoes.
You bring up a good point, though, because, even though the size 10 shoe that you're buying used from a garage sale is just size 10, and you go to the store and buy that same shoe, size 10, the used size 10 is going to be different. It's going to feel different because somebody's foot was in that shoe, okay? Yeah. Somebody's feet were in those shoes. Used items, yeah. You don't want to buy certain used items because you're perceiving or assuming that you're going to get something that you're probably going to feel, or you're probably going to think, where has this been? Well, who did whatever they did on this item? What, you know what I mean? It's just you think if you go to a garage sale, Ronnie, and you're looking at the items. There's plenty of cool items, but they're used. People have touched them. Other people, they're not in the boxes. So what have the people that are selling these items, where were they? Where have they been? And so forth. And do you think it goes through our minds, as many of our minds as you think, when people are at a garage sale? You think so, really? After
I did that show, there's a garage sale up the street. It was the first thing that come to my mind.
Oh, you mean. You.
Yeah.
I'm talking about widespread, just overall.
I don't think people really care. I really don't, because you have the consignment stores, all that is used. People are using that a lot now. I mean, that's become the number one hobby place for people is the consignment stores. I don't think they really pay attention as to where they come from or where they've been. They just want to know where it's going to be going.
Right. Well, one of the many discussions that Ronnie and I delved into, that is for sure. All right, we do have to go for this 263rd episode of the show. Remember, the next episode, we're going to go into the job interviews via Skype, what to do to prepare for those, of course, and, of course, much more. You're gonna want to tune in because we'll be back for yet another episode of the show. Until then, we sadly have to say so long for now, but until next time, much love to you all. Bye-bye, folks.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.